Hello, everybody. In this video, we're just going to be covering what the 2024 election looks like according to the polls. So this is strictly just a poll analysis video of each and every state. So this is not my official prediction. This is just how I see the states going according to the polls. According to the RCP average, that's what we're going based off of here because I just typically use them the most when looking at the polls. So we're just going to be filling in the safe red states and safe blue states. I already have a election prediction for this month. That's my real one. This map is just strictly the polls. So let me just continue filling in these. Utah, there was one poll out here that showed it as Trump plus 10, but that's still safe. So safe margin in Utah. Let's see. There's a few more states here. New Jersey doesn't have any polls out yet for some reason. I really want to see polling out of this state as well, but so far they don't have any yet. Okay, I think we hit all the states so far. Okay, we're just going to go into the likely blue states. So Illinois, surprisingly, it's only in the likely blue column according to the polls. It's under 10% so far. Same reason with New York. It's also just barely under 10, which is very surprising here. But again, there's a lot of undecideds here. They probably will end up just going to the Democrats anyway. But according to the polls, Biden's only up here by single digits. Same with Connecticut, which is another surprising one. In New Hampshire, which is also pretty surprising, this state's also just likely blue. It's not even lean blue in the poll. So honestly, Trump pretty much has not a lot of good chances here in New Hampshire. In the state of Colorado, another surprising one that's not over 10 for Biden yet. So far, Biden's only up by like 7 or 8 in Colorado. Same with New Mexico, he's up by a similar margin. But we hadn't seen a lot of recent polls out of the state. Alaska, this poll is pretty outdated, though. It is like for months and months ago. So I really want to see new polling out of this state. But so far, Trump is only up by a likely Republican margin in the state of Alaska. In Maine, Biden's only barely up. So Maine's more Republican than New Hampshire currently, according to the polls. So he's only up in Maine at large by like a few points here. So a lean blue margin. And Maine second is just Trump massively up in the polls. So he's over 10 here. Nebraska second, it doesn't have any polling for this district. But if we're going to go off assumptions here, Biden's definitely having a lower margin in this district, but it's also a very trending left district. So I expect a poll to come out here showing Biden narrowly up, but not up by a likely blue margin, which he won by last time around in 2020. Yeah. All right. The state of Iowa. Iowa's actually safe red. Most polls up here show Trump by over 10 or 11 point lead typically. So it's safe red on this map. Ohio, surprisingly, isn't over 10. I thought it would be after all those recent polls, but according to the average, Trump's only up 9.5% on RCP. So only a likely Republican margin for Trump here. Texas, it's also typically shows Trump with a likely margin of victory here. So I think it'll probably translate out to that. So I think on average it has Trump up here by 8, I think, last time I checked. Florida also on average has Trump up here by a likely margin similar to Texas. So it doesn't really shock me here, but there hasn't been a lot of polls recently in Florida. Honestly, Trump could be over 10 here. We don't know yet. So there's a new poll down in Florida. I'm very interested in seeing it. North Carolina and Georgia, these also are just high single-digit leads for Trump, especially North Carolina. On average, he's up by 9 here, according to the polls, which is a pretty big lead. Georgia, he's up by about 7 on average, so this is also a likely state for Trump. So a lot of likely states for Trump on the board, a lot more than in my prediction videos. Okay, let's see here what states we have next. Nevada is also likely Republican, so that's a pretty surprising one as well. But then again, Democrats typically underestimate Nevada. But this is just a polling video, so I'm not going to change the margin here. Right now, the polls show Trump up here by 7. In Arizona, the polls show Trump up here by about 3 or 4 points, according to RCP, so that's currently where he's at. And now Trump's only a few electoral votes away from the presidency. Minnesota shows a narrow Biden lead, so he's still up here in the state. Same with Virginia, it's also a narrow Biden lead. These are both likely blue states back in the 2020 election. And now we're down to the 3 swing states. These ones typically vote together. However, I feel like in 2024 we're going to see a few of them vote differently. They usually vote in a pack, but this time I think it's probably going to change. In the state of Michigan, which is a very surprising result, Trump's actually up here by 5.1% according to RCP of the average of the polls. So Trump's up here by a likely Republican margin. So yeah, I know it's pretty weird to see this on that map, but yeah, it's true. Trump's up by 5 on average in Michigan. But he's not over 50%. There's a lot of undecideds in that poll that could break to Biden, so I really doubt this map actually translates to reality, especially the margins in Illinois and New York and Michigan and in Nevada even. I don't think that's going to happen. But let's go to the next few states. Wisconsin, Trump's only barely ahead of here. So we're seeing Michigan be more red than Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, which is typically the other way around. Michigan's more Democratic than those two states. But Trump's only up here by under 1% margin. So that's a tilt margin in my category. In Pennsylvania, Biden's actually leading here on the average of the polls by about 0.3, 0.5% or so a tilt blue margin. So this is what the Electoral College map looks like according to the polls currently. So it's a pretty decently sized Trump Electoral College lead. If you look down in the bar below, Trump actually has a lead within the likely margin. So that's probably because of his margin in Michigan, which I highly doubt he wins by 5 there. I also don't think he wins by over 5 in Georgia. I think and Nevada as well. I think if anything, if he wins those states, it's going to be by lean Republican margins. But so far, polls are just very friendly towards Donald Trump so far. Usually they aren't so friendly, but I think that shy Trump voter effect, I don't think it exists anymore. So I think all these shy Trump voters are just openly saying, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. That's what they're saying in these polls, and that's kind of producing this result. Because if we had a polling error like 2020, Trump would be up even bigger than this. So I don't think that it's the case. I just think shy Trump voters are a thing. Honestly, it could be shy Biden voters at this point. People who are kind of could be ashamed of saying that they're voting for Biden. I think that could be the case. Or I could also see a lot of left-wing people that are disapproving of Biden's handling of the situation in Gaza, just being an undecided in the poll or protest, not voting for him in these polls that probably will end up coming back to him by the November election. So that's probably what we're seeing, especially in Michigan. We saw that turnaround ever since October when that tragedy happened. Trump just started taking the lead because of Biden's handling of the situation in Gaza. So we saw that shift in Michigan. So that's the reason that Michigan, well, that's my explanation for the reason why Michigan's so much more Republican than Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Michigan has a very high Arab population, and they are very dissatisfied with Joe Biden currently in the approval polls. So that's kind of my guess on what's going on in the state, why Michigan's just so Republican. But other than that, this is just the map simply based on the polls. Thanks so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed already and new to this channel, you should totally hit that subscribe button. Well, other than that, thanks so much for watching, and feel free to comment if you want. See ya.